I suggest to you that many people across the country think we've now got two-tier justice and our confidence in our legal system has already been deeply undermined.
While the mainstream media buries the truth, Richard Tice went live and tore the lid off the real scandal behind Lucy's bill.
And she was surprised by that, and then she was taken down violently, brutally, by about 6 officers.
In this explosive clash, he calls out Susanna Reid and Martin Lewis, exposes Britain's broken justice system, and demands the public's right to question absurd sentences.
That's not arrogant, not saying the British public can't talk about it.
But what he uncovered inside Lucy's prison cell will shock you even more, and you'll want to watch to the very end to see why this matters for every single Briton.
You're saying the media's fake? Surely your news is correct.
So share this video, smash the like button, drop your thoughts below and spread it far and wide. Labour would love nothing more than to shut this down. Not on our watch.
Well, Richard Tice visited Lucy in prison yesterday and joins us now in the studio. Very good morning.
Good morning.
Lucy Connolly, she's in prison. There have been rumours about the way that she's being treated. What did you discover yesterday?
So actually, she's been a model prisoner for her time there, as I understand, and she's had good treatment from many of the prison officers and staff. She's in Peterborough Prison, which is quite a modern prison. But something happened last week when, for an inexplicable reason, because she was a model prisoner, she was going to a new wing with enhanced privileges. All of a sudden, she was diverted to a wing for, let's call it the naughty girls, and where there's, unfortunately, elements of violence, of drug dealing, and she was surprised by that. And then she was taken down violently, brutally, by about 6 officers, and she was what they call bend over, which is a bend over, her hands behind her back, very tightly held with handcuffs. I saw the bruises on her wrists 5 days on. They were so tight it was hard to get the handcuffs on. She was dragged, not up 1, not 2, but up 3 flights of stairs like this, and then basically given no food and held in solitary confinement for the rest of the day. So, look, prisons are not easy places. We all understand that. But for a model prisoner to be treated in this way is shocking. I had a meeting with the head of security. They've promised to review the CCTV footage of the body cam footage. So, look, let's wait and see. But it sounded to me totally inappropriate and wrong treatment for someone who has been a model prisoner, who was awarded special privileges that have all now been taken away. So I'm very, very anxious about that.
So let's just tell the viewers that we contacted HMP Peterborough, and a spokesperson said, "We cannot comment on individuals. Our staff are trained to follow all applicable policies and procedures to ensure the safety and well-being of the women in our care. All incidents are subject to review afterwards." And it sounds like, from your discussions, that review
I've been promised that review, and we look forward to hearing the results.
So,
OK.
Let's move on to the bill that's going to be part. It's a 10-minute rule bill, so I mean, the reality is it won't become law. It's a totem for you to raise this issue. I think that's fair to say, isn't it?
It is, but it's an important part of democracy. And what I'm suggesting is that, look, judges do a great job. We have a fantastic legal system, by and large. We're all human. We can all get things wrong and make mistakes. And if judges have patently got something wrong with a sentence, whether it's too lenient or whether it's too harsh, then having a sort of a treble check safeguard where, let's say, 500 members of the public sign a petition, not an e-petition, but an actual bit of paper to say, could the Criminal Cases Review Commission treble check this, look at it again, and if they are worried about it, represent it to the Court of Appeal to have another look. So it's not relitigating the original case or the original decision. It's saying, have we got this sentence right relative to the other sentences that are going along? I think
500 is an incredibly small number. I mean, most people could raise 500 signatures pretty easily, and in lots of cases.
And that actually is exactly, where should that line be? And I'm happy to take all discussion on that. Is it 500? Is it 5,000? But the right thing to do is to have that treble check where something is patently wrong.
Why would you have a treble check from 500 people who have not been in the court and know none of the actual legal facts of the case?
Because they're not being asked to look at the case itself. They're just being asked to look at the comparative judgments and, the comparative sentences that are handed down to people and say, look, if you've got drug dealers, knife carriers, muggers getting, let's say, 10-month sentencing, then someone for a nasty, offensive tweet getting 31 months seems a bit extreme, seems a bit out of kilter.
You're pulling this example. Let's go the other way. Let's take Palestinian Action, who are currently going to be prescribed as a terrorist group by the Home Office. So you would support, if 500 people, if someone were to be in prison for being a member of that group for 2 years, you would support 500 people being able to get their sentence reviewed as well?
That's the whole point. It works both ways, because at the moment, if you think a sentence is only too lenient, one member of the public can appeal to the Attorney General to say this is too lenient. So I'm saying, look, let's look at, and happy to talk about the number. You've got to start somewhere. Most people's friends and family doesn't add up to 500, but I think to have confidence amongst the British people in our own legal system and in the way sentences are made, not bad to actually have a sort of an overarching treble check just of the sentence, not of the judgment itself. And yeah, if you think 500 is too few, maybe 5,000, let's talk about it. But if you don't talk about stuff, you never make improvements.
Yeah, except that if you talk about it, of course, you're at risk of undermining our judicial system, aren't you? Because the one person who has access to all of the facts and all of the sentencing guidelines is the judge who issues the sentence. And in this particular case, Lucy pleaded guilty to the crime, distributing material with the intention of stirring up racial hatred. And in the case, the judge said both the prosecution and her own barrister agreed she intended incitement to serious violence. And so she was sentenced according to the law. It went to appeal. And, you know, it went through the appeal. And of course, her sentence was not reduced. But you think that 500 people who've read about it in the Daily Mail should have the right then to challenge?
Well, I think the point is, you know, none of us are perfect. People get things wrong. Judges get things wrong.
Which is why we have a judicial system and a legal system, where all the people who know all of the legal facts in the case. I would suggest to you that many people across the country think we've now got two-tier justice, and our confidence in our legal system has already been deeply undermined because, in certain cases, you had judges that essentially ignored convention, ignored the comparisons, and were deliberately over-severe because essentially they had a mandate down from the Prime Minister, we want you to be very severe on these people. I'm saying having a treble check as safeguard, natural justice requires the confidence of the British people. And that's what this is about. I
think there's a risk that you clog up the legal system with this. We asked Paul Britton, who's a criminal defence lawyer, for his view, and he was saying, look, this doesn't happen anywhere else in the world, so it's certainly a novel idea. It's a new idea.
We like to lead the world. We like to be leading the way at Reform UK.
But he goes on
to say,
with fake news so prevalent, it would be dangerous to allow the public to be the decider outside of the already established legal framework, a framework that works. Aren't you worried? I mean,
wouldn't it be shocking to trust the good common sense and gut instinct of the British public? I think that there's a level of arrogance in that that I think is frankly...
Richard,
so there isn't fake news. I mean, as someone who's got more scams and fake things out there saying, I've been arrested, you're saying we should just ignore that. So if people put online, I've been arrested, that's not fake news. You're saying that we have a media in the social media age which can be trusted...
Are you saying the media's fake?
No,
surely your news is correct.
No, there's a lot of fake algorithms out there on social media. There's a lot of deliberate disinformation from state actors coming into the country who could bastardise our legal system deliberately under this rule. That's what he's saying about fake news. That's not arrogant, not saying the British public can't talk about it. It's about talking about the information that comes into them.
But as Susanna quite rightly said, you've got to have confidence in our British legal system. And I have to tell you, out there in the real world, many people's trust and confidence in our legal system has been deeply undermined. And this is a way of restoring it by having an umbrella, safeguard, treble check. That's why I think it's worth talking about. If you don't talk about things, you never make progress.
Okay. Stand up for free speech, hit that like button, share this with everyone you know, and let's keep the debate alive.